is from Triggernometry. Triggernometry, maybe you've heard of them. There's a speech. You may have seen this video going around. Comedian leaves Oxford Union speechless. And this is going to destroy the woke. The thumbnail to this, I mean, I guess I could show you. I think it's the most recent upload or one of them. How this speech, show this speech to a woke person. It's going to destroy us. Show it to a woke person. I'm pretty woke. I think we could do it. Look at the prismatic beauty of the lamps. I know, right? They're beautiful. Take a shot anytime Ben says something not completely head-ass dipshit. We're not doing Ben right now. We're doing Triggernometry, but save your alcohol because dumbass shitheadery will happen here too. For those of you not subbed, you have 60 seconds. I'm not waiting. So this comedian is apparently supposed to destroy the wokies with his speech at the Oxford Union speech or something. He's a comedian. He's funny.
You will not know this, but I was supposed to be the first
Konstantin Kisin?
non-student speaker for the proposition. I've now been the fourth, which means that I now have to thank all the previous speakers for making my best points for me. And I find that the main reason now that I have left to be in support of the motion is that I am so tired of talking about woke culture. That's why it's gone too far, more than anything else. And I thank the other speakers.
Starting off hot. He's just tired of something, so that's how it's gone too far. Who is this? No one knows. No one knows who this is.
Speakers for making the points for me, because it means I don't have to reiterate the point that no, free speech is not some right-wing reframing of whatever. It's the foundation of Western civilization.
The right wing is the one that's anti-free speech. Hello? What? You're anti-free speech. You can't have a drag show? Huh? Trans people being able to express themselves publicly? No? Having to change media to suit you? Like Mortal Kombat comes out and says, hey, we've decided not to make so much titty stuff in this. We want to do a little redesign of the characters, and you all lost your minds. That's censorship. That's the same thing. You let artists determine how they want to do art, including woke stuff. If you don't like it, they get to say it, and you don't quit bitching about companies. I can't believe they're shoving this down our throats. You're the SJWs now. You know that, right? They're the SJWs. They're the people that these guys, like Sargon. Sargon used to make fun of Anita Sarkeesian for saying that, and I think it's sort of a valid criticism. It depends on what she's talking about. But essentially the censorship of art, right? That's essentially what it is. Sargon now does that thing because it was never about free speech to any of them. They're all hypocrites. All these people are hypocrites.
It has to do.
The left is actually for free speech. Hello? They're not saying that they want people to get fucking arrested by the government for saying the N-word. They're saying if you're a Nazi, you're not fucking welcome in our space. That's free speech. It's a threat, but it's free speech. Hey, if you're gonna be racist, we're just not gonna fuck with you. That's it. That's not anti-free speech. That's literally an expression of it. You can agree, but you're the fucking anti-free speech guys. Don't co-opt the stuff. What side is busy removing CRT and LGBT books from libraries? Exactly. These guys.
Upon this civilization is built, and the Enlightenment values that led to it.
The Enlightenment values that were anti-religious, for the record, that did not believe in the superstitious Jesus or Christianity, but a lot of the people anti-woke culture use to propagate their own conservatism.
I don't have to make the point that has been made by far better people in the past, that the only way to deal with the problem of racism is to treat people on the content of their character and nothing else.
But there are systems in place that currently treat people not on the content of their character, and that's the point, the problem, right? There are systems in place that specifically target certain members of humanity that happen to share demographic information with each other. Mm-hmm. And it seems systemically flawed from the foundation, and so that's the argument. Like, the only reason... I think these people are fucking confused. The only reason that, like, pride stuff... not MLK bastardization. It's Martin Luther King's birthday, or was yesterday, or is today? I don't remember. It's today, right? What's the date? But not by the time this is on YouTube. It doesn't matter. So MLK butchery, 10 points. It's not just about systemic racism, though. It's about systemic everything. Like, they're worried about, like, oh, the left brings up race a lot. No. Marginalized groups bring up the fact that they are being marginalized. And they'll use terminology like pride to express solidarity with one another in their struggle against marginalization. And then you go, no, you can't point that out. Now everything's about race. And that's really not what it is. It's about acknowledging that these people are being mistreated, and it's a systemic holdover and sometimes current fucking thing that they're experiencing. Of racism, whether it's systemic or active, regular, current racism, which happens all the time. White supremacists are real. I don't know why they would pretend they're not. It's not like... I think the world's biggest problem is capitalism, but capitalism exacerbates this issue because it's like dominates the news cycle and the culture now because it's clickbaity, and now this is what we talk about. And so... You know, in a moneyless society, by the way, Fox News doesn't exist. Just tossing that out there.
And the fact that woke culture seeks to overturn that is a new form of racism that we must all oppose. It means also I will not use this opportunity
to
say I told you so, as someone who spent the last 5 years warning people in the West that if we continue to erode our culture, if we continue to undermine our confidence in Western values, that our enemies like Vladimir Putin will seek to capitalize on it.
Vladimir Putin's what? Vladimir Putin strictly adopts Western culture. Hello? Vladimir Putin does not have, like, an alternate culture to us as far as, like, like, their buildings are similar, their cities are designed similarly, the structure of their law is very similar, his ideals align with Christian conservative right-wingers currently. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's a European... It has the aesthetics of European Westernization all over it.
I will not make any of those points tonight.
I bet if you looked whoever this is, Konstantin Kisen?
Instead, I am not going to talk to those of you who already agree with me, which I imagine is most of you. I'm not going to talk to you because I imagine after everything you've heard tonight, you're going to vote for the proposition. I'm going to confess I will take your vote for granted. Tonight, I am the Labour Party and you are the Red Wall. Now, I want to talk to those of you who are woke and who are open to rational argument.
All right, let's go.
A small minority, I accept.
Come on the show right now. Do it. Wake up, wherever you're at, and come here, coward. Or you're a coward. By the way, I did invite several people to the Monday stream, and I don't see any of them.
Because one of the tenets of wokeness is, of course, that your feelings matter more than the truth. But I believe in you. I believe there are those of you here who are woke, who are open to rational argument.
Your feelings matter more than the truth. Literally is how you guys operate. It's always projection. It's so strange. It's so strange. Literally, the left is saying, look, here's systemic problems. And you're like, no, they're not. My daddy was a good daddy. And then that's it. That's the argument. Nuh-uh. My daddy and his buddies were good, and they made a good world. And we're like, no, they didn't.
So let me make one.
Okay.
We are told that your generation cares more than any other about one issue in particular, and that issue is climate change.
Okay.
We're told that many of you suffer from climate anxiety.
Sure, I guess. Not really.
You wish to save the planet. And for tonight, and tonight only, I will join you. I will join you in worshipping at the feet of St. Greta of climate change.
Huh, not a straw man. That's funny, though, by the way. St. Greta.
Let us all...
That's a fucking lame joke. Boo! Cringe!
Accept right here, right now, that we are living through a climate emergency and our stocks of polar bears are running extremely low.
Do you think people are worried about the polar bears? I mean, like, yes, people are like concerned about the well-being of other sentient creatures that exist in a climate that they have no control over and that we seem to have a lot of control over, okay? Yeah, there's some people that are like specifically fucked up about specifically polar bears. The straw man argument is that, though. That's the straw man argument, to say that that's the primary concern. I think if you want to make any sort of logical argument, you have to start from a steel man position and just adopt the actual correct approach, which is we want the planet to be comfortably habitable for all people. That's it. Like, in the places that we can try. And we also want to not exacerbate the issue. There are climate disasters that are going to happen. There's going to be famine. There's going to be climate refugees. You think you're racist now. Just wait until the climate refugees come. Boy, are you ready for some racism. Like,
I join you in this view. I truly do. Now, what are we to do about this huge problem facing humanity? What can we in Britain do?
in Britain?
We can only do one thing. You know why? This country is responsible for 2% of global carbon emissions. Which means that if Britain was to sink into the sea right now, it would make absolutely no difference to the issue of climate change.
Actually, it would make a 2% difference. I'd sink it for 2%. I'd sink it for 1. Put Joanne right at the bottom of the sea. Let's go.
You know why? Because the future of the climate is going to be decided in Asia and in Latin America.
Asia? Yeah, probably. Very populous. I assume you also mean India when you say Asia, not just China. There is some industrialization going on there because they are in the tail end of their industrial revolution. Both of them. I mean, obviously they're modern, but like they're still countries that produce things. When we don't, to some extent, because we globalize the world. This is a capitalism problem, for the record. Like, both of those places are capitalism, for the record. That's what the woke would say. Capitalism is the problem.
By poor people who couldn't give a shit about saving the planet.
What makes them poor? Okay, here's a fucking question that's going to bake your noodle if you're a capitalist. Does China have enough resources to feed and house every person in their country? Yes. Does India have enough natural resources to feed and house every person in the country? Yes, of course it does. Does America? Yeah, of course it does. It does have enough. You should watch. If you don't believe me, you should look at how we deal with farming. Do you know they throw away more food than they put in the markets? It's actually true.
No, thank you. No, thank you. It's going to be decided by poor people in Asia and Latin America.
What poor people's doing a lot of fucking work there. A little classist, I see.
Who don't care about saving the planet. You know why?
Because they're poor?
Because they're poor.
Okay. Why are we framing every Indian and Chinese person as poor? What the fuck? That is just not true of the situations. Like, there's lots of poverty in countries everywhere that adopt capitalism.
Because they're poor. I come from Russia, which is not a poor country, it's a middle-income country. 20% of households in Russia do not have an indoor toilet. What they have is an outdoor toilet. And I don't mean one of those nice portaloos that we get here. I don't even mean a Glastonbury portaloo. I mean a wooden shack with a hole in the ground that holds a collected fermented memory of the last 10,000 visits. How many of you are going to go home tonight and say, let's rip out our bathroom and erect a Siberian shithouse in the back garden?
What is this an argument for? How many of you are going to vote for inferior plumbing practices? Anybody? Okay. Yeah, people didn't have shitters here until a few decades ago. Like, hello?
And if you're not, why should they? 120 million people in China do not have enough food.
Why should they what? Wait, what? 190 million people in China do not have not enough food. They have not enough money. This is totally different. This is a vastly different thing.
I don't mean that they don't get dessert. I mean they suffer from malnutrition. That means that their immune system is breaking down because they don't have enough food. You're not going to get them to stay poor. Imagine you're Xi Jinping, the leader of China. When you were 10 years old, there was a revolution, a cultural revolution in your country, and people came and they put your father in prison. Your mother had to denounce him. Your sister killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
And you, no longer enjoying the protection of your formerly powerful father, were sent to a village where you lived in a cave house. And here you are, decades later. You have clawed your way up the bloody and greasy pole of Chinese politics to be the undisputed supreme leader of the very Communist Party that destroyed your family.
They're not communists. I mean, they're communists in name only. They operate with capitalists. Okay, we're not gonna get into Chinese, how their fucking government runs. It's a fucking shit show. We don't have to worry about authoritarian. No. What? Why? Is this woke?
And you know that the main thing you have to do
is this woke? Is
to
he woke?
survive and to stay in power is to deliver the one thing that the people of China want: prosperity, economic growth. Where do you think climate change ranks on Xi Jinping's list of priorities? A third of all children who live in extreme poverty in the world live in India. That means they are starving and dying of preventable disease.
What is this?
Now,
is all
about
capitalism.
15 months ago, my wife got pregnant. Not me, because we're old school.
Trans joke.
And for 9 months, we talked about what our boy would look like.
I'm not triggered by the being owned. I'm triggered that he thought he was owning anybody. That's what triggered me. It actually worked. Triggernometry. Smart. It worked.
He might do when he grows up. We looked at baby scans and videos on YouTube about what the fetus looks like at 9 months and 12 months and 20 months. And eventually he was born. And he is this cute little bundle of joy. He's cuter than about 80% of puppies. Right.
It has
Now,
to do.
Oh, what a funny joke. 80% of puppies. Tepid laugh from his most friendly crowd. Whose fault is that? Hint, it's the country you're standing in, the class you're talking to. Oh, no.
If you said to me
yes,
that I had
true.
a choice, either my son had a serious risk of starving or dying from a preventable disease in the next year, or I could press a button and he would live. He would go to school.
You are describing the coercion of capitalism as this is why anti-capitalism won't work. He's describing get a factory job so you can keep your kids alive, otherwise they're going to starve. And it's like, that's enforced by capitalism specifically. You can't. Hello?
He would bring his first girlfriend home. You'd go to university
First girlfriend,
and graduate and become a woke idiot. And then he'd get a job and get married and have children and become a man. But all I have to do is press this button.
Yikes.
And for every day of my son's life, a giant plume of CO2 is going to get released into the atmosphere. Now, you're all very young, and most of you are not parents. Let me tell you something. There is not a parent in the world who would not smash that button so hard their hand bled.
Yeah, we acknowledge that. That's why we think capitalism's bad. I agree. What? We just have very different outcomes. Yes, I agree. The nefarious shit about capitalism, thank you so much for saying this. Yes, show this to a woke person so that the non-woke people in the room watching it with the woke person can explain to them what the real problems in the world are. Here's something. If you've never thought about capitalism in your life, okay, I want you to think about this now. This exact scenario. You have a kid, okay, because you live under capitalism. You already experienced this in your life. You have someone who you love, the person you love most in the world. Imagine them. It's not your kid. It's whoever you love most in the world. Maybe it is your kid. Crosive, thanks for the follow. The person you love most in the world needs you to press a button and hurt the world. In the Hurt the World factory, you go to Amazon and you press the button and it just, a knife on a stick. It's like a knife. Here's the fulcrum, right? Just a knife on a stick and a little button. When you press the button, the knife goes and it stabs the world. Who feels it every time? It's like the space whale in Doctor Who. If you know, you know. It stabs the world. Just for the fuck of it. You do it! And the world could feel hurt. You would do it every day to keep your people alive. Because that's what capitalism does. Capitalism stakes the well-being of yourself and those you love to labor. It stakes it there. And it forces you, with the threat of giving up your safety, to participate. Otherwise, your safety and the safety of those you love dearest is gone. Because you need to be laboring. And so they have to keep wages low. This is why they don't want wages high. Because if wages are high enough, you take more time off. And if you take time off, they're less productive. And if they're less productive, they make less money from you, because you're the consumer anyway. So if we take more time off and we have higher wages, slowly capitalism just dies by itself. Because people start appreciating time with their families and they start going, look, I don't think we really need to commodify healthcare. Does we need to do that? Couldn't we just give everybody healthcare so everybody is a little bit healthier? And then they do. And then you go, should we like really pay gate education? Because sometimes people don't have good educations, but it's not their fault. It's like their family was really poor and they never had any opportunities. And it feels like, as an American who loves capitalism and productivity, that I would want, no matter what economic background they have, I would want the best and brightest people going through our education system. And hopefully you'd filter up. Would you rather have a crop of like 100 million people or 350 million people to choose from to be experts in their fields in America? Because America suffers from a thing called brain drain from time to time. If you ever heard about it. A lot of people also do educational tourism here because our educational facilities are top notch and their governments subsidize foreign educations to come here, right? But not a lot of people who are here can afford it, and if they can't afford it, it's already nepotism, right? Or they're very lucky to get like a scholarship. Some people get out, of course. Some people are very, very gifted and get out. But there's some people who have like, a 3.9 GPA and would be very good at Harvard, but will never be able to go, right? Not only that, people that are very big on the idea of a what's the word I'm looking for? Meritocracy. When people like libertarians, right-wingers, capitalists often like to say meritocracy. Capitalism is a meritocracy because when you put work in, you get paid, and that is like direct compensation for your merit in the place. I can disprove this with one thing. Anybody ever experienced a situation where they should have been the one promoted, and instead they promoted someone that was inferior, and later on down the line, the inferior person shows that they're inferior, gets fired, and you eventually take the job and you still have it or had it, and you did just fine at it? Or a similar situation where you just left the job, went and got a job somewhere else, and you're very, very proficient at your job. Everyone experiences this to some extent, or at least everyone that is an actual, you're good in that field. If you're actually good in the field, you've dealt with incompetence in your field, right? And if you are incompetent in your field, you probably should move to another one or get better. Both happen. Because like it just is a thing. Not everybody's good at everything, and like I've been not good at things that I've tried. Of course, everybody is. Running, not great at it. You get what you deserve. A true meritocracy would be a situation where your future isn't affected by the merit of your parents, but your parents' merit has everything to do with your ability to have a good life. You have to come from a high-class family almost always to get into the high class. It's very rare that you can. It happens, obviously. There's no like real gating off of it, but there's a little bit of it. There's nepotism, obviously. I mean, look at any place that has. It's so easy to see this in sports, but none of you guys know that. I mean, you can look. Politics is a great example. Think of the famous names in politics, and it's nepotism. All of them know each other. Like, some people break in, and then new nepotism is created. But like, it's a natural inclination, right? So the natural inclination for humans is to pick their own people right? Which makes sense. To protect their own people and to do anything they can to make sure that happens. Capitalism interacting with that doesn't sound like a very good alchemy to me. That doesn't sound like a very... So I don't think that we should have markets in places where these things intersect and then eventually full communism, hopefully someday, long before or long after I'm dead. That's for sure. And then they clap for me. I'm right.
You are not going to get these people to stay poor. You're not even going to get them to not want to be richer. And so,
of course not.
I put it to you, ladies and gentlemen, there is only one thing we can do in this country to stop climate change.
Abolish capitalism.
And that is to make scientific and technological breakthroughs that will create the clean energy.
I would disagree with Hassan on that. Professional sports? I mean, it is true in a lot of ways. But there's nepotism in sports a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, sports is separated by class. I know there's a lot of people that break in, but there's... Again, sports is such a great example of this because it's not about the players necessarily. The ownership is filled with nepotism. The coaching is filled with nepotism. There are entire policies that have to take place in multiple sports that allow, like football has such a big problem. They put in the Rooney Rule that forces a team to interview at least, I think it's like 2 people of color for the coaching position, and it's like really bad. In those sports. The players are a little bit different, but even the players, especially now, it used to be the case back in the day that you could get discovered. That is the case today to some extent, but AAU basketball has changed the game. AAU wasn't really a thing when I was a kid and playing basketball. It kind of was, but it was for rich kids. It still is kind of for rich kids. But sometimes if you're not a rich kid and you're really good at basketball, they will pick you and they'll give you a scholarship to these rich kid schools and stuff. You'll go to some fucking academy. Texas Christian Academy comes to mind. I'm forgetting a bunch of them. Anyway, there's a bunch of different ways. And a lot of these people get on these teams because of nepotism, or because their families are rich and they're boosters for the fucking programs. Like, a lot of it happens. It's not all the time. Sports is better. I'll say on the court, sports is a great meritocracy. Or on the field or whatever. Obviously, like it's strict meritocracy when the game is being played. But the foundation, like the structure of the business models for these places is, I mean, structured the same way as any other billion-dollar corporation, because that's what they are.
That is not only clean, but
players are working into that space because they make a lot of money. LeBron James is working into ownership. Magic Johnson, although he's a capitalist. I mean, they both are. But I would rather it was player ownership than anything else.
Also cheap. And no, thank you. And I want everyone to get home on time today, which is not going to happen. And the only thing that wokeness has to offer in exchange is to brainwash bright young minds like you to believe that you are victims, to believe that you have no agency, to believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain, is to protest, is to throw soup on paintings.
Soup on paintings, come on, bro. Everyone is a victim of something, like, inherent to existence. That's more of like a foundational sort of materialism thing, but whatever. And psychologically, everybody has, shit they've had to deal with, including yourself. And that's not, strange or weird. It's just a human experience thing. I don't think we have to, be weird about about that. So victimhood is a normal experience of human life. Not everyone's just defined as a victim, though. Like, I don't think any leftist looks around and goes you're a victim. This is a straw man, surprise, from the anti-woke boys. Not very bright. What else did he say?
Is to throw soup on painting, is to complain.
Complaining.
Believe that what you must do to improve the world is to complain.
And protest.
Is to protest.
So complaining and protest. What are you, a pussy? Are you some kind of bitch? Hello? I'm sorry. I thought we were dealing with alphas. My bad. Complaining and protesting is part of my fucking rights, okay? Sorry. Maybe it's because you're a fucking limey. Let me get on my America shit. Eagle! Ah! Yeah! America! Maybe it's because you're a British. Maybe you don't know a little bit about standing up to somebody, huh? Because you're always the people stood up to. Scotland, Ireland, Wales, the fucking Vikings, us, everybody always. Fuck the British. Fuck you. Protesting. Shut up. Go eat some fucking scones. I'm going to throw a Molotov, bitch.
Is to throw soup on paintings.
Soup. I do think the soup painting thing is just...
And we
weird,
on this side of...
But it seems to me that the money trail on that is pro-oil people trying to discredit. It's a false flag, essentially, on their own shit.
...of the house are not on this side of the house because we do not wish to improve the world. We sit on this side of the house because we know that the way to improve the world is to work.
Is to work?
Is to create. It is to build.
Those are platitudes. Work, create, and build what? Work, create, and build. We have to produce what and build what to beat climate change. Hello? What do we got to build and produce? Like, this is so cucked. That was what was coming to my mind, too. Like, bro, you just described the reason that all these people suffer is capitalism, and then you're like, no, we need more of that. More of it will certainly do it. We're like, hey, make the fire smaller. And they're like, no, more fire. I don't know, bud.
And the problem with woke culture is that it's trained too many young minds like yours to forget about that. Thank you very much.
All right. What's this guy's name? He's a comedian. Constantine Cassine, maybe? I don't know. I can't say your last name. Sorry, but Constantine, this is an open invite for you to come talk to me. I don't know who you are. Maybe you're too famous for me. Maybe. You're British, so probably not. Even the most famous British people. Until you get like Bowie levels, Adele, I mean, usually you're just guys. Usually you're just folks, okay? You're an island. So, yeah, you could come. If you're worried about woke people not wanting to talk to you, I would be happy to talk to you, especially if this is the type of material you're bringing to the table. Please bring this exact thing to the table. Or anybody else that agrees with him. That would be fantastic. If you are a person, if you're a big, strong boy, and you're like, look at this woke lefty piece of shit. Look at this soy boy. I want to talk to you. I need to pick your brain about why you think dumb things like this. This is a dumb thing. It's a dumb thing to think. He just strawmans everything. He actually has no understanding of what the wokies are even about. Which is pretty sad, man. Oh well. What was the point? He was mad about stuff.